Hey guys, Quamii here, and welcome back to another Escape From Tarkov video. So in today's video, I decided to do another guide for EFT, and this one's going to be another PvP guide for everyone. So this video is going to be an intermediate / advanced tips and tricks video for players who want to improve their game. There will also be some general sort of tips in there, but for the most part of it, it's going to be intermediate and advanced level tips. For the most part, I'll tell you what they are, but I may also elaborate on some of them in order for you to get an understanding of the purpose of the tip or trick that I'm giving you. Because there is absolutely no point in me telling you to do something, but you yourself don't understand the purpose of why you should be doing it, or even what it does for you. Hence why I will elaborate on some of the things. Chances are, by watching this video, you will most likely learn something new that you didn't know beforehand that you could do in the game. Like I said, there will be a couple of tips that will be general sort of tips that I do, but I wanted to mention them in this video because they are quite handy and useful, and these are things that are really good to know. But for the most part of it, they will be PvP based and little things that I do that give me a little advantage over the other players. So if you're looking for some extra tips or some sort of additional edge over the other players to win your PvP engagements, then stick around and most likely you will learn something. And some of these tips may seem obvious, but you'll be surprised at the simplest things that people forget or simply don't do. You will probably see a lot of the top players in the game doing these things, and this is part of why they are the top players, because they are able to do these tips consistently, and as we know, consistency is always key. Also, one more thing, these tips won't be every single little tip and trick in the book, as they say. The tips shared will just be some of the ones that I personally do. Just so you know, just to give you guys a heads up. Alright, before we begin, don't forget to like the video and give it a thumbs up for me. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for future content. And don't forget to turn the notification bell icon on so you know when my videos go live for you. Subscribing helps me out heaps, guys, so thank you to everyone so far for the support. I really do appreciate it. Cheers, guys. Don't forget to check out the live stream and say hello sometime. I stream 6 days a week at twitch.tv/Quamii. All other details will be in the description box below. Now we got all that stuff out of the way, guys. Let's get into it. Alright, so this first one is going to be a quick one and it's going to be self-explanatory. And the first tip is going to be talking about quick dropping and dragging items. Speed is essential in this game. You can't be in the same place for too long. You can't even be stationary for too long, because every time you stay still, you're making it easier on an enemy player to give them a chance to headshot you, which of course will result in you being sent back to the main menu, which obviously you don't want. And part of doing things quickly is that you need to loot faster. And man, I've seen some people and they are so incredibly slow. And every second that you're looting is a chance someone could just walk up to you and just kill you. And so it's super important to be quick. If you're a new player and you're looting slow, then that's totally fine. I get it. We're all there. But if you've been playing the game for too long, I'm talking like, I don't know, maybe 9 months or something, and you're still looting really slow, then you got a problem, bro. You got a problem. You need to get on that ASAP. Okay, so I'm going to show you the way that I do it, and I feel like not many people actually do it this way, but I'll show you how I do it, and then I'll elaborate on it after. Alright, so what I'm doing is, I'm holding left click to drag it over, and then as I'm holding it, I'm still holding it, I press my delete key, which is on my mouse, like my side mouse button, because that's what I have it bound to, like drop or delete something, and I drop it over, and then I just left click over it, so it'll look like this. So I go, delete, it's over, boom. It's just quicker, that's all. So that's how I do it when I'm trying to equip gear on my character, like headsets and such. You don't have to do it the way exactly how I did it, with the holding left click, dragging it over the contacts, for example, hitting the delete key on my side mouse button, and then releasing it. You don't have to do it that way, but at the very least, bind the delete command to one of your side mouse buttons, so you can just tap just over the things that you want to drop, just real quick, man. It's little things like that that'll speed things up. In the long run, it'll save your life sometimes when you do it fast enough, and you can actually get up in time when you hear someone running at you, and you can actually defend yourself. You know what I mean? It's the little seconds that counts. Anyway, so it makes it so much quicker for looting, and don't forget to hold control and left click items to quickly put items on your character. And that's all we're going to say about that. Let's move on to tip number 2. Now this is something that I don't see many people doing at all, period. And I feel like this is an excellent little trick you should start doing immediately. So I'm going to call this the scope in and look around trick. I know that sounds stupid, but I just made that up, okay? I seriously didn't know what to call, but that's what we're going to go with, alrighty? I'm sure you've all encountered a situation where you hear gunshots and you're unsure of where they're at, so you try and get up somewhere high to look around and try and look around to that area with your scope. And it takes you forever to see anything, right? So I've got a better way for you to do it, okay? And I rarely see people do this, and it seriously annoys me. Why don't you do this instead? Watch closely. Do you see what I've done here? I scoped in and I used the free look with mouse 3 to look around while scoped in. So as you can see, I am looking at this entire area zoomed in, and with this I am able to see all kinds of movement and anything that looks irregular, like a dead body, scav boss, whatever. And then when I see where it is like this, I would then scope in normally on that spot and most likely shoot it. So how do you do this? You do this by right clicking in with the scope and then using the free look command to look left and right. And the scope that you're using has to be a scope with some form of magnification. So at least a 2x or better. It won't work with the PKO6 or any one-time scope red dots. Once you get the hang of this, it becomes so much easier to spot players in front of you. You will eventually get so good at this that it will only take you a couple of seconds to quickly look around to see what's ahead of you. Also note, I'm not standing still while doing this. I'm doing my best to move around slightly left and right, up and down, whatever, so it makes it harder for players who have spotted me to get a headshot on me. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Let's move on to the next tip. So tip number 3 is a simple one, yet I don't see people doing this too often. This clip is very old, but it's old because I learned this trick very early on when I started playing. So this one is going to be the lean throwing grenades trick. Now, have you ever had a situation where you're in a fight with another player and you want to nade him, and you know if you nade him it's going to work out wonders for you, but at the same time you know if you try and nade him, you're exposing yourself too much, and when you try it he ends up just straight up killing you as you're nading. Does that ever happen? Does that sound familiar? Well, that's happened to me quite often, and yeah, it sucks. I know that feeling, believe me. So, this is what you do about it. So instead of taking that extra step to the side to make yourself a bigger target to the enemy, instead just lean and throw the grenade at the same time. Like this, for example. Did you see how instead of taking that extra step to the side, I leaned and threw the grenade in, and I was just able to get the grenade into that little store? That's what I'm talking about. Because I leaned, I didn't expose myself too much, and I ended up getting the grenade in safely, and I forced this player to run out of his safe cover, and I killed him. If I didn't lean, and I just stepped out normally to throw the grenade in there, I would have most certainly have died. So start using this for those types of situations. To do it, you simply hold down the lean key in the direction you want to lean. I think leaning right is probably better than the left in my experience. I believe the default keys are Q and E for leaning, and then you press G to throw your grenade as you're leaning. Pretty simple stuff, but it will save you in the long run. This is tip number 4, and I actually learned this one quite recently, which is something that I now do as often as I can when I see it's that kind of situation. Have you guys ever gotten into a massive gunfight and you somehow managed to win against all the odds, and you killed like 5 players or so, and you're feeling really good about yourself, and you're like, boy oh boy, whew, that was an intense and scary situation right there. Boy, I'm glad I won that. Now that there's only one problem. Now you've been fighting all this time and made all that noise from fighting the other players who would potentially be on their way to your location. There is too many bodies to loot in a short amount of time, right? So now, what do you do about it? You're looking at where all the dead players' bodies are, and they're in such bad spots to actually go and loot them. And you know, if you go and loot them, like you normally do, you have a high chance of dying, and you know this. So what do you do about it? I have the solution for you. Why don't you take all their gear to a safer location and work out the looting there and not out in the open? This has saved my ass so many times because I played this correctly instead of staying out in the open like a bozo looting corpses. So you need to start doing this too. So, this is what I want you to do. If you got a secondary gun on you, drop it somewhere safe, and also drop your bag there too. Yes, you heard me correctly, drop your bag there. Run up to the body, prone if you have to of course, quickly grab his gear, his gun, and his bag. Put the bag on you obviously, put everything in his bag. Put his helmet, put his contacts, put his rig, whatever. Put it in his bag, and then get up and get the hell out of there and bring it back to the safe location where your bag is and where your secondary gun is. Don't sit there looting his pockets, looting his rig. Oh, what's in this? Oh, look at his pockets. There's a grenade. Oh, look at G-phone. Oh. Grab his stuff quickly. Snatch and grab. That's how you got to think about it. Snatch and grab. Put it in his bag and get to a safe location. Work everything out there. Once you're in a safe location, you can loot and take as much time as you want. Because now you're in a safer spot. Chances are no one's going to just roll up on you, and if they did, you'd probably hear them because they'd have to go looking for you. This area that I've chosen right here is actually quite a good one. I'm surrounded by like the walls, and because I'm inside the shop, there's a box in front of me. I'm pretty well hidden. I can just work out whatever the hell I want out of all the looting. It's so much better at doing it this way compared to being out in the open out over there, because anyone could be creeping up on those locations, you know what I mean? So do it like this. It'll save your life. You might even get a couple of kills out of it because people will be rolling up and be like, hey, free kills, I heard gunshots over here. And you just kill them because you're in a safer spot, you know? So you'll thank me later when this actually works out for you. And so I think that's the end of that. Don't forget to grab the gear, everything that you want, put it in a safer location. It'll save your life. Now let's move on to the next tip. So this is tip number 5, and this is something I do a lot, and it's something I've done for ages. This is a real simple one, which is to quick turn in anticipation of the next enemy. And what that means is, after you've killed one enemy, you are already in position with your crosshair ready on the spot where you think the second enemy is or potentially is. I learned this from playing Counter-Strike many moons ago, back when I used to play 1.3 and 1.6 Counter-Strike. And this is what it's supposed to look like. Notice how I was originally focusing on the player on my left down that hallway, then all of a sudden out of nowhere I heard a player on my right. So now I've got 2 people to deal with, and then this is how I decided to deal with this situation. Watch who I go for and how it plays out. Notice after I killed the first player, I immediately spun around in anticipation for the second player because we heard him. That's what I'm talking about. That's what you need to start doing. This is a really good habit to start getting into, especially when you have to deal with multiple players, like big squads, for example. Like after you've killed one player from that squad, you immediately flick your crosshair onto the next spot where you think that other player is going to run around the corner, for example. Like you're waiting for him, you're immediately ready for him. Like it's just really good to be precise and be on the ball like that. And it helps with your aiming too. So start doing it. It'll help you out a bunch. Get into that good habit. We'll move on to the next tip. Tip number 6 is also a simple one. This is something I do when I know someone is holding an angle on a doorway in a room or something similar, and it's hard to get him to miss. One method you could do is the side jump trick. So you would run in and then jump and turn to your side as you're jumping, so when you land, you're facing them, so you can immediately return fire. Some people struggle hitting moving targets, especially jumping targets. Let me show you what it's supposed to look like. Where are we? There we go.
On my left side.
We're all in.
Closing in on them.
Jesus!
I don't want to block you just in case you want to run back in, you know?
I've got to remember that. Just run and jump in. I gotta remember that.
Oh, I got that manifold.
Most people wouldn't be expecting you to jump across like that, right? Most people would probably expect you to either run in or walk in with your gun up or something similar. So when you jump across like that, it completely throws them off, and there's a good chance they miss a lot of their shots because you did something unexpectedly. This works best when there's only one enemy player and not multiple players. And I have actually pulled this off against a team of 2 before, but it's probably not a good idea because for my circumstance, I was fortunate enough to be able to kill the first guy, and I killed him fast enough without taking too much damage. Try doing this against those players who like to sit there and hold angles for long periods of time. Most likely, any sudden movements is going to get them to start open firing immediately, so jumping across would definitely throw them off their game. So that's a side jump trick. Give it a go, let me know what you think, and let's move on to the next tip. So this next clip is actually going to be 2 tips because they are really good things to start doing, and I happen to do them both in this one clip. So the first one we're going to be doing is the sprint jump. This is different from the side jump because it has a slightly different purpose than the side jump. What you would do is you would jump across a hallway or a doorway really fast by doing the 2-step jump or the sprint jump across in order to get vision or to bait gunshots in order to figure out where the enemy player is hiding. So in this case, I'm trying to clear the stairs of any enemy players holding those areas. So what you would do is you would hold down mouse 3 to free look slightly to the right or whichever direction it is in your circumstance, but for me in this case it's to the right. I would sprint, and after taking 1 step, on the second step I would jump, and I would jump across the doorway and at the same time looking for players like this. Might be someone here, I'm not sure. Did you see how I kind of just flew across the room like that? It was like an accelerated jump. That's the 2-step jump or the sprint jump. So you would go flying across the doorway like that, and at the same time you use the mouse free look, to look to the side to see those what you're running past, to see if it's clear, if there's a guy holding the stairs or whatever. And as you can see, because I'm going so fast, it's really hard for them to hit me, right? Because I just literally flew around the corner. So during that time, if I do spot someone while I'm jumping across, I would then turn around and pre-fire that spot where I saw that player, and that would get me an easy kill. So let me rewind it back just for a second, just so at the point of where I'm in the air, so you can see exactly what I am looking at as I jump across. See, I would be looking at the stairs, at the bottom of the stairs, and at the top of the stairs to see if there's anyone holding those angles. As you can see, there's no one here at the bottom or the top, so I know it's safe. So now I can proceed as planned. But if there was anyone in those 2 spots, like I said, I would just turn around and I'd pre-fire them and I'd kill them, and then I'd move on. So that's something you need to start doing, especially against those like small tight hallways where you can it's hard to maneuver. So you need to try jumping across, do the sprint jump, and you'll be able to trick a lot of people because they'll be confused as hell. They'll be like, what the hell? A lot of people won't react. You'll be surprised at the amount of times that I've done this and I've jumped across and they just stood there looking at me because they're like, in their mind, they're like, did that guy see me? I don't know. Then you come around the corner, you just run around, boom, shoot him in the face, they're dead. Boom. That's easy kill, man. So start doing it. So the next one is, it's going to be similar to the sprint jump, but it's actually going to be running. So we're going to sprint across and we're going to free look, and the point of this is to help us gain vision of an area without exposing ourselves too much. So we do this across hallways, same principle as the sprint jump, but we're sprinting and we look down the hallway to see if there's anyone there. If we spot them, it's the same thing. We turn around and we pre-fire the spot that we saw them and we take them out. You guys who've been watching me for a long time, you guys see me on my live streams and in my highlights. I do this all the time and it gets me kills all the time. So start doing it and let me show you how it's done. Oh, don't lag. Dead body. As you can see, it's kind of the same thing. We sprint across, we free look to the right, we spot that player, we turn around and we shoot him right in the face. He had no idea. He just sat there looking at me. He was confused as hell. That's what happened there. So you need to start doing this too. Start doing it. Start practicing it, especially in the tight hallways like dorms or resort, shoreline, factory, wherever you think you can pull this off. So give it a go. This will help you out heaps. Let's move on to the final tips of the video. Alright, so this is tip number 9. Now, I know a lot of players can relate to the situation that I get into here in this clip. Don't act like you haven't been in this spot before, because we all know We have all been there, and we have died most of the time when we are put in this situation. So, you're walking around minding your own business, trying to get to point A to point B, and then out of nowhere, someone decides to be an ass and starts taking shots at you from really far away, and you have no idea what's going on. He's literally owning you, and you know if you don't do something, you're gonna die. Most people panic, freak out, they are unsure what to do. They try and run, do the best that they can, but they can't because every time they get hit, they lose stamina, their legs end up getting fractured or blacked out, and the situation looks mighty grim. Look what I do. Yeah, I mean, there is... I'm fucking dead. So if you missed what I did and why I'm still alive, and I didn't really take that much damage overall, I'll explain it to you. I was timing his shots, so I could hear it that he was shooting a semi-automatic weapon at me. It's probably an SKS, and as he's shooting it, I'm listening to the sounds of the shots, and I'm timing it when they're about to hit me. And when they're about to hit me, I turn and go the other way, so I'm evading his bullets. And he's probably like, what the hell's with this guy? And I'm just going left and right, left and right, left and right. He out of like the 10 shots that he should have hit me like 4 times only or something like that. You know, I minimized the damage, the incoming damage that should have been had onto me. And because of that, I'm alive. If he hit me with all those bullets, I'd be dead. Under normal circumstances, I'd be dead. But instead, I obviously couldn't run because he hit my stamina, so I decided to start evading like that. And then once I evaded enough bullets, that I got my stamina back, I quickly sprinted to around the corner where that truck is, and I went prone. Once I'm here, he's not killing me. It's over for him. He's done. He's not killing me. So the tip here is to simply don't panic. And I've said this before in many of my other videos, there is almost always something you can do differently. You can almost always win these situations. You just gotta keep your cool, don't panic, and think about it. And that was a really bad situation, right? I should be dead. But I kept my cool and I thought about it and I'm like, oh, no, wait a minute. Hey. And then I started dodging, baby, left and right. And he couldn't kill me. Too bad for him. Well, that's something you guys should be thinking about as well. In those type of situations, what you could have done differently and what you can do. Always think about what you can do next to achieve victory. That's a really good mindset to have. I know this situation doesn't happen too often because, you know, next time that happens, it could be 10 people shooting at me for all I know, right? I was very fortunate, it was just the one guy, but then again, when it's your turn, and you're in that situation, maybe you'll be fortunate too. So do your best to capitalize on the situation. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Let's move on to the final tip of the video. Alright guys, this is the final tip of the video and the final clip. So this is tip number 10 out of the advanced and intermediate tips and tricks, and it's going to be the good old-fashioned classic shoulder peek. The shoulder peek is so big at the moment. They even had to nerf it a little bit because it was becoming a little too good. Because they nerfed like the movement speed between when you're going left and right. Because I think people were abusing it too much or something, but it still works. You just got to be a bit more careful with it. That's all. But it's still solid. It's still worth doing. If you don't do it, you're really missing out on missed opportunities on being able to kill other players. It's a really safe way to peek around corners without exposing yourself. That's what's so good about it, because you would shoulder peek around the corner, you'd spot the enemy player, and you pre-fire him, and you kill him, just like here. Pretty straightforward. I peek just my shoulder around the corner, I happen to spot a player, and I end up re-peeking and shooting him in the face. It's better to do it this way instead of always running around a corner exposing yourself. Like this player here, for example, holding in the extraction. If I ran in normally, he would have just killed me, shot me right in the face, and that would have been the end of that, right? That's why shoulder peeking is so important. I don't expose myself, and that's the point of the technique. Start doing it. It works out wonders, and that's the final tip I have for this video. Alrighty guys, I just wanted to say thanks for sticking around until the end. I really hope you learned something. I do have more tips I could have put in, but I didn't want the video going on for like 40 minutes or something. So chances are I'll just do another tips and tricks video and just put them in there. Remember, these are just some of the things that I do, and there are obviously more tips and tricks that other players do, and I just haven't covered them yet. So feel free to comment down below if you have any ideas you would like for me to do a video on, and I would definitely consider it in the future. I had a viewer ask me a while ago to do a video on how to track enemy players and tracking players in general and that sort of a thing, and I just wanted to say that video is in the works, so don't worry bro, I got you. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up for me, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Subscribing helps me out quite a bit guys, and I'm almost at 1,000 subs, and that is my goal. So I would greatly appreciate it if you guys can help us get us there. Thank you. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell, the icon on, so you know when my videos go live. Feel free to check out the live stream and say hello sometime. I stream 6 days a week at twitch.tv/Quamii. All other details will be in the description box below. Thank you all for watching. Hope you learned something. Keep practicing, keep improving, don't give up, stay Quam, and hopefully I'll see you on the live stream.